Madman. You're a madman.
Air and water. But you'll find plenty of both down there.
No man. Person or breed, no man threatens a messenger.
You bring the crowns and heads of conquered kings to my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. Oh, I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. Perhaps you should have done the same.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
This is Sparta!
What would you do to get to me? What would you say to have your way? Would you give up or try again? Never hesitate to let you in. Would you play yourself or play your role? Tell all the boys I think you love. Say no, would you turn away or penny off? Or would you stay up? If at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. You can dust it off and try again, try again. If at first you don't succeed, you can dust it off and try again. Dust yourself off and try again, and try again.
I still want your hands up on my body. You still make my heart beat fast. Ferrari with me in the wave, but in the morning. Do you still want me? Can I be honest? I still want your hands up on my body. You still make my heart beat fast. Ferrari with me in the wave, but in the morning. Do you still want me?
What's up?
When they hear the champion sound, bound, 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 bound. When they hear the champion sound.
Enough of that. Hello, peeps. How's it going? It is Tuesday, the 29th of November. Slightly late or slightly early, depend on which day it was originally planned and changed to. Good evening to everybody who has joined. What a wonderful Tuesday it is. Yeah, very extremely busy Tuesday, I may hasten to add. Has been a very busy November, to be honest. A lot of projects, a lot of busyness, especially in business, always is as we approach Christmas, people trying to get things done. I've got a really poor Christmas tree up, but hey, it's in the corner. Gonna get a proper Christmas tree up. I don't know if you guys put Christmas trees up and it's supposed to be 11 or 12 days before Christmas. I can't remember now. I should know. But anyway, I may do that. However, I'm not really a big fan of real trees, like as in real Christmas trees, because they do create a bit of a mess. And sometimes, anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm digressing. So that's a little Christmas tree for the time being in my office here. Right, what have we got to discuss today? Well, so much. In fact, I'm more looking forward to the Friday live stream where the cockroach is eating cockroaches. I don't know if you've seen the promo for it. Steve, Atheist Steve, aka Steve of Southall, aka what are the other handles? Steve Chilcott, as GB News introduced him, aka candidate for Reform Party, blah blah blah, eating cockroaches as hoped and presented by the World Economic Forum. But anyway, that's fun and games, but we'll get to that. He texted me yesterday, whinging and crying like a little bitch, not happy that I'm doing a live stream. Well, that's going to stop me, isn't it? Anyway, so look forward to Friday. That's going to be a good live stream where we he's given me permission to share a few things as well, which was very nice for him. So thanks, Steve. Fun and games on Friday. So in the meantime, I don't know if you lovely people have had a chance to listen to a video that Simon Racist Keeps Children's Images Lord uploaded to his channel. Go watch it. I think you should watch it. And let me tell you why I'm semi-guessing why he posted that. Because these degenerates, think that Manny Cinder is in with Team Tommy, and they cannot fathom for a millisecond in their low IQ head that somebody is able to criticize them other than Team Tommy. So I'm assuming he thought by putting that presentation up that he would cause some controversy between me and Tommy Robinson. How that would work, I don't know. I'm not in touch with any of them. Team Tommy, Tommy. But anyway, thanks, Simon, for putting that up. I thought what I said was very balanced for the information presented at the time, which was very new. Being bombarded with the information, I stayed as neutral as I could. So yeah, everything I said on that video, I can stand by. I know why I said it at the time, and I know why my mind changed on some things and not changed on the other things. I'm not really sure what you wanted to achieve by putting up that video, but I do, because that live stream was created the moment that I covered the fact that Simon, according to his friend Danny Jones, was saving and sharing children's images. So as soon as I did that live stream, Simon created that live stream. So I'm assuming it was in a desperation attempt to, I don't know, distract my attention, but you can't distract it. I'm staying on point, Simon. According to your online friend, Danny Jones, you are saving and sharing children's images and essentially targeting families by the looks of it, which is a gravely serious criminal offense and gravely serious, morally corrupt offense. But just to cover the live stream, you guys should all go and see it so you get to understand the process of how they are trying to brainwash people. Okay, so what these idiots don't understand, and I think Moon covered it and Mr. Rick covered it, is once you are the person that shares things that are secret and recording, you open up a whole can of worms for yourself. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's just see how, 1 minute. Let's just see how, where's the folder gone? There we go. How Simon approached me about this. This was the first message. There we go. See my beautiful face? No. How can we get a better screen? Is that better? Here we go. So this is how Simon approached me for this. I'm going to turn it off at 7 o'clock, unless somebody jumps on later. I'm watching England and I'm watching America kick Iran's ass. Anyway, this is what he said. He said, would you be able to come into a private hangout with me and Danny Jones at some point when you've got time? ? There's more stuff that would be easy to go over in voice with screen sharing, etc. Top secret, no recording. Top secret, no recording. That's what he said. Let's just highlight that. All right. I just want you fully informed because you've had your face on stage. Now, this is also an important sentence because everyone from Steve and Danny Jones and Simon all have this rhetoric. They're all saying this same thing. Because you've had your face on stage, just what you fully informed. But anyway, as you can see, Simon said here, top secret, no recording. Right? But you did record it, didn't you? So you're telling me in a message, setting up a meeting in an attempt to brainwash me, to come into a meeting where you're going to share information, which, by the way, in the presentation, a lot of it you blanked out, and I see you muted your own voice. But don't worry, that entire thing is available, right? Or will be, now that you've made it available. But I'll make it fully available. So you've got top secret, no recording, and you went ahead and recorded it, right? Wow. Now, why would you do that? You set up a meeting and you say, don't record it, but then you record it. And then even Danny Jones in the presentation said, if you are recording this, please do not share this. But you've gone ahead and shared it. So I don't know if you're having a kind of an indirect. Yeah, Beekeeper, I recorded it because I was being CC'd into some very, I would say, horribly dangerous emails from Simon to other people. And he had a history of aggression, threats to people's lives. He was showing some crazy attributes. He was clearly trying to brainwash me. The things that he was saying, Steve Speaker's Corner was saying. In fact, I would go as far as say that when, on some of the occasion over that period, that when Raj was speaking to me, I was beginning to feel that some of the information coming from these parties were coming through him. Right? And we'll get to Steve in a minute, well, because Steve seems to think that my issue with him started when the Hope Not Hate thing started. That's not when it started. But I mean, the reason why I never actually shared the information why I had a question mark over Steve was because I didn't want to share personal information. And I still, unless somebody's sharing personal information about me, if you've noticed, I only do a response, respond to just to tell people what the issue is. I am not the first to share any personal information. But with Steve, he's all now already said on a live stream that he's divorced. He's no longer married. But when he first became a single man, I went out with him, and I didn't think his behavior was adequate. I didn't think his behavior was adequate for a man of his age. I just found it very, shall we say, I had a question mark on it. And Banksy can confirm this, because I said to Banksy the day after or during that evening that he's acting a bit weird. But the reason why I overlooked it was because he had separated recently. And I thought, look, men and women, whoever separate, they go through a lot of emotional trauma when they separate. And I just put it down to that, right? But there was a bit of a question mark. But soon after I had been to Telford, all the rats were coming out of the gutter. For example, people like Simon contacting me out of the blue, and even things that Steve was doing. And it was very clear and evident to me that how Steve was structuring his sentences, and how he was willing to meet up with me and just to find out what was going on. But there was something not quite right about Steve, because Steve hadn't really come out and said he was going against Tommy Robinson at that point. He hadn't really come out and said he had changed his stance. He was being all very, shall we say, dishonest in his position. But I could see in how he was and how he had changed over time that something wasn't right. So you know me, I was going to speak the truth anyway. So when I met up with Raj, and Banksy was not Raj, sorry, with Steve at Trafalgar Square when we were doing a live stream, I knew then that something was up, because I categorically told Steve that Hope Not Hate was a sinister and bad organization, and he wouldn't accept it, and he was bigging them up. He said they're not that bad. So I knew from that point that something wasn't right. But again, I didn't really hold him down to it, because Steve always had weirdness about him, right? He's previously said, and now I think of it, how dangerous this is, that he was happy that there were no other colors in terms of racial colors apart from coffee-colored people. He said that he can't wait from the whole world is coffee-colored, which is, to me, is an interpretation that he has an issue with different races. Why would you only want coffee-colored people? And he'd probably say because there won't be any racism, but you're still trying to get rid of certain races. And he said things like he was happy for, transgender, mixed toilets. I've played that to you guys previously. And a lot of other weird and odd things, right? He said, which are just not acceptable in a good society. So certainly not acceptable for an actual politician who's trying to do things. But anyway, I'm digressing. We'll get to Steve. We'll get to Steve on Friday. He needs a. He messaged me yesterday, saying, "Why are you doing the live stream about me?" Well, because you're an idiot. Because you're a cockroach. You're the first cockroach I've seen that eaten another cockroach. I didn't know cockroaches ate cockroaches. I know some vermin ate insects. I didn't realize cockroaches ate cockroaches. But hey ho, I like to learn things. But going back to Simon. So Simon, as I've seen, big up Jupiter, big up Jupiter, and Robert White, and everybody else. So he said, don't record it, and here, let me just share that again. Don't record it. No recording, but he recorded it. I recorded it because of some crazy stuff that Simon has said and done, and very recent to that time, which was completely unacceptable. Right? So why would you record it? Right? He had no reason. I don't do anything sinister. I don't do anything criminal. I don't keep children's images like some. I don't deal in whatever people deal in, right? So why would he record it? It's entrapment, right? And if you're trying to entrap somebody, you are essentially operating as an infiltrator. It's as simple as that. If you are recording somebody without their permission, which is a criminal offense, by the way, you are infiltrating them and you're setting them up is entrapment, right? But well, that's who he is. That's what he is, who he is, and that's all he is. But we shall not be sidetracked from the fact that Simon Lord keeps images of children as admitted by his own friend and shares them with other people, which is a criminal offense. Now, no doubt, with his racial hatred and his anger towards colored people, including Sikhs and black people and mixed race people, this is a deadly cocktail of God knows what with him. He's a very dangerous man. He's a very, very dangerous man. He could have different personalities. It doesn't matter. He's still coming from the one persona. So this face on stage comment is another thing that keeps coming back. But let me share one more thing with you in terms of messages. Okay, so this was the actual message that came before that one, I believe. Let me share this. So Simon is saying, look, I've highlighted, would you be able to come into a private hangout with me and Danny Jones at some point when you've got time? I said, sure. Not knowing who Danny Jones is, really. When you're not busy, and I gave him a time, thumbs up, thumbs up. I'll just check with him. It's a date. Right? So that's him setting up the brainwashing session. Didn't turn out too well, did it, Simon? Do I need to refer the changes? Yeah, let's save that. There's another one here. One minute. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah. There's another image, isn't there? That we need to have a look at. So here we go. So I'm asking Simon, so what's the objective agenda for meeting on Tuesday? I said, who is Danny Jones? Have I heard Jupiter and Moon mention him? I take it he's one of the public annoyance team. He said, no, he's totally independent. Hoxted, mainly. I don't know what that means. I don't know what Hoxted means. I don't know who John Wanawer, however you pronounce that, is. The King's Flag bloke. I've heard this recently, this King's Flag thing. I'm not too sure. Maybe something to do with Kaylee or something. Yes, Moon read out a comment he'd written and inserted. I don't know what that means. Well, I must have remembered at the time. He lives in Telford. He's got a few recordings from locals. Why is he recording locals? Is the question that he can't upload, but would like some people to hear. Now, the other thing is, it seemed very finely edited, this presentation, Simon. Why was the presentation so finely edited? Why were certain things missed out? Why is that? You do realize that, and I've told you specifically, because of your criminal behavior prior to that, I recorded it. I actually have the original conversation, including your voice, which I see you muted very nicely. And without any blurring of images. I don't know why you did that, because it can't be because you are trying to protect people, because we know you save, download, and share information of people's families anyway, certainly of children. So what did I say? So for me, it was nothing. I mean, I stand by everything. I said with that, with the information, like I said at the end, that I was going to let all the information sink in. And as I realized when I went away and I gave it some thought, that a lot of it was nonsense. There was one thing that stuck, and I've spoken about that previously, the Airbnb, but I haven't researched it myself. I haven't contacted the owner of the Airbnb. And in hindsight, is it really a big thing? Not really, right? Are there girls still being raped and abused by grooming gangs? Yes. Is any of this going to stop that? No. Are they grooming gangs just going to carry on despite all this? Yes. So where should the attention be? So, yeah. So that's where we are. So thank you, Simon, for sharing that, because not only does it allow me, free me up to share that in its full capacity, unedited, of course, to whoever I like, since you've made it public. I get to give it to anybody who I think, who asks for it, who I think deserves to see, and it's got your handprints all over it, my friend. But more to the point, perhaps you would like to do a live stream telling us why you are downloading, saving children images and passing them around to people. That is what I'm really bothered about. That is what I'm concerned about. This is what everybody listening and watching to this should be bothered and concerned about. Whether you like anybody on these YouTube live streams or not, maybe you love them, maybe you detest them, whatever. The question should be, how far should this go? How far should we allow these type of demonic entities to attack people's families? Attack people on their politics. Attack them, pick them up. You said this. Fine, I'm all for that. Right? But attacking people's families? Right? Because that's really bad. But there is a silver lining in that issue, that we all love our families. Even if you don't have a loving family, you want to protect the family, unless they're obviously a demon. So this will bring people together. This will awaken people. This will make people kind of take action and say, we don't want to put up with this anymore, right? Why should he or anybody else attack anyone's family, especially on the basis that they're black or they're brown or they're Sikh or they're, whatever? I mean, why? Why can't you just stick with people's politics? If you've lost the argument, which obviously you have continuously because you go into race, you go into families, just leave the arena. We get it. Okay, we get it. You're a loser. Not just talking to Simon, talking about all these people that attack people's family. Don't do it. But you don't just attack, excuse me, you don't just attack families, do you? You also attack women, from what I've seen recently. Now, let me see where this video is. So this video came to light recently. Where's it gone? So it's on Speaker's Corner online. Here we go. Let me share my screen. So this video is on Speaker's Corner online. If you go to this chap here, I think it's a male. Sorry, leaks. If you're not a male, I've just assumed you are. So his channel is basically Speaker's Leaks. I think he's supposed to be Speaker's Corner Leaks, but anyway, he leaks a lot of stuff, essentially, whether it's leaks or not. But anyway, he's put Mr. Rick's video up, but this came through recently, and this is disgusting behavior, Simon. You don't speak to a woman like that, but then again, you have a history of abusing women.
You're making fucking loads of noise. Shut the fuck up, you cheeky cunt.
I'm so sorry.
No, that won't do.
Sorry, I just got back here. So sorry. Can I have a...
Be the fuck quiet.
I'm so sorry. Can I just have a conversation with you?
No, just shut up. You're making fucking loads of noise. Shut the fuck up, you cheeky cunt.
I'm so sorry.
No, That won't do.
Sorry, I just got back here. So sorry. Can I have a?
Be the fuck
I'm
quiet.
so sorry. Can I just have a conversation with you?
No. Just shut up!
Sorry? She's apologizing to you, Simon. That poor woman is clearly scared. You can see the fright in her voice. She's apologizing to you. She says, I've just got back. Can I just have a conversation with you? And you say, no, and you're shouting at her. What? You know, I'm assuming it's the family, right? They probably were making some noise, but you don't speak to people like that. You don't treat people like that. That video is disgusting, right? Unfortunately for you, that is on Speakers Corner Online, and that all videos, as we know, on Speakers Corner Online is downloadable. So anybody that goes to Speakers Corner Online can download it. Maybe I should do that. Right, so you now have a history of this aggressive, disgusting, racist, narcissistic, horrible, horrible kind of persona, which can only be described as demonic. Just take a break. Just go away and just take a break. And I don't mean that in a horrible way. It's like, you know, I understand that this online thing it can be pressurizing if you haven't got the right mental etiquette, which you don't. It's as simple as that. You don't. I don't know what to say. I mean, you've called me a packy. Yeah, you've called black people nigger. You called mixed race people, you know, and that's not even like Wendy saying you caused it. Bye, Wendy. Another racist. Bye, Wendy. We're not interested in you racist types. Horrible, nasty, narcissistic, troll, demonic type of people. I don't no time for you. Go live your life. Go do whatever you want. I have no real interest in any of you people. You're just sad. You need to get out. You need to do something. Yeah, she's blocked me. Oh my, she's gone. How many? Every single week, I block at least each one of their accounts, and they keep coming back with more and more accounts. What's the point? Why are you doing that? No one's interested. Do you know what people are interested in? My shitty Christmas tree. And I want to apologize to everybody that loves Christmas trees, that my Christmas tree is so appalling. However, can you see Manny Cinder in there? Oh, is that the best you can do? You got to call Manny Cinder. So sad. So sad. So sad. Is that all you got? And that's all they can do is set up troll accounts, be racist and call people names. All right. Now what? Because you're the racists. You guys are the ones that are spreading images of children attacking families, attacking everything that's wholesome, right? You don't want people to have free speech. You don't want people to have their own opinions. You don't want people to turn the other cheek. Yeah, it's called, what do you call that? Right? What do you call that if not demonic? I would say stay off the drugs, stay off the alcohol. Thanks, Lils. Stay off all that. Meditate. Like pray to God, close your eyes and say, dear God, help me, help me grow my consciousness, help me grow into a better person, into the type of person I should be. It's amazing what a prayer can do. It doesn't matter what religion you are, even if you're any religion. Just ask for forgiveness and ask for a greater consciousness, because really God is most powerful, essentially. And if anyone's going to help you, it is He. That's a good question. There were certainly indicators that Simon was like this. And I think people like myself overlooked it because we thought he was triggered because of a certain situation. So there was a Sikh chap whose handle name is iRoast. At the time, I quickly heard a debate between them two, and Simon resorted to him calling him a nigger. So I went back and listened to that. I mean, even at the time, I could see why Simon. I want to be fair, Simon could be triggered, but to the extent of which how Simon took it and the level that he reached was unacceptable. But people like myself kind of overlooked that for, okay, maybe he was triggered and so on and so forth, because Iros was calling him homophobic names. But nonetheless, a repeated pattern over and over and over again, and then going beyond the required response in a lot of these situations kind of built up a resistance within me over time until I didn't really trust him. I was still kind and friendly with him, but there was always a side of me where I couldn't really trust him. Yeah, I know they don't work, Lodger. They don't work, and I mean, I came home today at quarter to 6, and that's early for me. 7 o'clock is average. I mean, I get up at 5 o'clock and I start working straight away. I do things. I'm busy. I'm building things. I'm building businesses. I'm building projects. Part of my income goes to charity. I try to work with as many charities as I can. I try to build businesses, employ as many people as I can. I can't do what these people do, but I'm not going to step down. Money, we will. I know you guys know. Look at this. We will doc. We know. I know you guys do. I know. You think I don't know that you guys can dox my family and you're targeting my family, and you guys are racist and narcissistic and evil and satanic. I know you guys know that about me, but I'm not scared. You think I'm going to stand down when you're sharing people's families' photographs? Do you think I can stop down? This is how satanic and evil you are. Because that's all you've got. All you've got is to control people through fear. So when people like me come along and refuse to be scared, what are you going to do? How far will you be able to push it? Right. So I love it. 67 people have now witnessed direct threats, the same threats that anybody that stands up to this network receives. Right. And it's the same people, it's the network. You know the names, right? There's plenty of people that are being attacked and their family, because that's all they've got is fear. Yeah. So big up to everybody who who are willing to stand up to these demonic beings, because they are demonic. Only demons and pedophiles attack children and families, right? No sane people would attack anyone's family. These people are deeply, deeply wounded. And wounded people wound other people. It's as simple as that. Now, moving forward on Friday, we have a special show. We shall be watching Steve eat insects. Something to look forward to. But in the meantime, starting now in 5 minutes, England versus Wales and Iran versus USA. Now, I think I may put England on mute because I think England's going to win 4-0 anyway, and go for, and have watch the Iranian match because it's really a grudge match, right? So if anybody wants to come on and share a few words for a few minutes, you can do. I'll put a link there. I'll put a link there. See if anybody wants to come on and say a few words before the match starts. Manny, Ricky Easy was waiting to know if you would go on his show. Ricky, is that Mr. Rick? I've been wanting to interview Mr. Rick, the one that has been doing these videos recently. I've left him a message, but he hasn't responded. So I'd like to interview him because he's putting out a lot of information, and not all of it makes sense. I would like to know what his motivations are. So, yeah, that's where we're at. That's all I want to say is that dupes. So somebody came in. Hi, is that you, Dupes?
Yeah, it's me.
Cool. So we've, if you want to look at the back chat, I'll show that in a second as well. It says, Manny, you should say sorry before it gets worse for you. We are in contact with your relatives. Can you see that in the back chat and confirm that's there?
Yep, that has been written in the back chat, and it's the usual style. So now what they're going to do, this is their modus operandi. Since I've been in Speaker's Corner, I've watched this happen to several people. So I've watched this happen to Titans TV. I've watched it happen to Veli, which is why Veli left, because his family were doxxed. Their children's and his wife's Facebook pages were stuck in back chats, and he was threatened. Zubida got told to back off from Wendy. She got told that. Banksy got told to back off from Wendy. There are certain individuals that are sitting in a group. They're engaging in all this shit. Wendy is only one of them. I think she's quite small time actually compared to some of the others, what the others do. But yeah, I've seen speaker after speaker that is balanced, that wants to be able to talk from their own point of view and have their own opinions, even if they're wrong. Not be criticised on their opinions, but to be harassed. There is a network of these people. It's definite. People know that's what I believe. At the moment, I'm also a victim, Manny. People know that there's a lady spewing out lots of hatred, lots of lies, lots of libel, lots of slander, some truths mixed in with false truths, and doxing my family members as she goes along, hoping that somebody will take it up and do violence against them. It's not only malicious communications, this is harassment, it's intimidation, it's blackmail. It's trying to make people afraid. Why? I don't know. I keep asking myself, what did I do that was so offensive to these groups other than tell the truth? I don't hold any position of authority. I don't lead groups of people. I don't have groups of people under my control. Not like them. Some of them do because they're in trolling groups and they delegate things to and targets. I don't target individuals. I just have my opinions and have conversations with people. And if I go back and assess the old situation, I was targeted over 2 years ago. I don't believe most of what I've been told has been truth. I think that I have been manipulated by several people, and I think that they are doing this to many others. Yeah. I think it's sad.
Have you seen what they're putting about your children now in the back chat?
Let me see. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. I don't think they're going to care about that. Yeah, you see, all this to do with Pornhub is ridiculous as well. It's malicious communications. You know, stupidness. But you have to remember that there are also another group of people that are whipping up people. Manny, this is how deep it gets. So once they realise that there are people that are not getting on, there's also another group of people that find it funny to clone and pretend to be those people and come and write shit in the back chats. And in the back chats is where they do a lot of this nonsense. They will go and threaten people. For instance,
Yeah.
say you've got two people and one's had a death in the family. I'm just making this up, by the way. This has not happened. It's an example. Someone's had a death in the family. They speak online that they've had a recent loss, and they don't get on with person B. Person C will then clone person B, go into the back and say loads of nasty stuff about person A. Person A will assume it's person B because they're not getting on. Meanwhile, person C is what's waiting for the flames to ignite. So you've got a group doing that, and then you've got the really bad group that are actually looking into people, holding files on people, making excuses for all their stuff, and people that can't face up to what they've done. Yeah. So here we are.
Well, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry that you're having to deal with this type of thing. It's not a very nice thing, you know, to go through. It's not very nice to be targeted by these type of demons. So if there's anything that I can do, please do reach out, and you know, we see what we can do.
Yeah, I will do. At the moment, I'm just taking stock and watching, because for me, the most perplexing thing is I don't really know why I was chosen as target, and I can't understand it. And I think that's how they want you to feel. They want you to feel like you've got some responsibility, which I don't believe I have. I think that they just chose me. Maybe it's because I react. Maybe it's because I defend myself. I don't know what it is, but that's the most perplexing thing for me over all of it.
It's because you have a very good
Yeah,
way of looking at things.
that's it.
You have a very good way of looking at things. You're a good speaker. People flock to your live streams wherever you go. People come to listen to you, whichever channel you go to, and you don't just toe the line. You do your own analysis. I think I've said to you before, I do not think you always come to the right conclusion, but boy, is your analysis very, very good. And you know, sometimes the analysis is far more important than the conclusion anyway. And I think that's what they don't like. And I think they're probably feeling a bit more kind of upset because this book that they were hanging their hopes on is just a waste of time for them. It's just turned out to be a bit of a joke. And now, because they don't have anything better to do with their life,
this is kind of what annoys me, Manny, because these people know that I'm not Team Tommy. And when I say not Team Tommy, yes, I do agree that he should be allowed to speak on grooming gangs. I agree with his position on grooming gangs. I also agree with the fact that he should have free speech. I also agree with him that when the state want to persecute someone, they will persecute someone. And you know, that we should all be wary when we see these kind of cases. We should all look and think, if they can do it to him, they can do it to anybody. Because
do you know why they call you Team Tommy?
Well, that's the reason why. But the actual Team Tommy is a group of people that were very close to him, that had direct contact. I've never had direct contact to Tommy Robinson, and I've never had.
They know that, but I'm asking you: do you know why they need to call you and refer to you and spread the lie that you and me and others are Team Tommy?
I believe it's because they're afraid, because Tommy Robinson actually could make the mainstream because he managed to get loads of people to support him on freedom of speech, and that he's got people that actually like him from the left, the right, and the centre. Which actually they've actually stated themselves, because Clanwell, who preens himself on being highly intelligent, and don't get me wrong, I never went to university, so I'm not trying to compete in IQ, but this man who preens himself on being highly intelligent revealed that they know that we're not extreme, they know that we're the centre. And they want to remove Tommy, and when Tommy's taken away, then they want to drag us to the left, the extreme left.
So they need these type of personalities and organizations. They need to put people in boxes, because when you're putting people in boxes, then you're making them targets, right? And if their target is primarily Tommy Robinson and anybody that's any affiliation or any support or anything at all, even if it's the same subject, for example, if you're standing against grooming gangs, then they won't be happy with you doing that either. So they need to put you and others and the rest of us into a box so they can target us, and as a consequence, they will be able to rally the other demons that share the same rock space with them and say, see, she is racist, you know, see, she is blah blah blah, and that's why we must do blah blah blah. That is what, on a psychological level, that these people try to do. It's just to satisfy their own evilness, because they can say she deserved it.
So there's a lot of complicated reasons to this, in my opinion. So with their reason, like you said, the book, first of all, the book. There are some individuals amongst that group that want to be famous, and they want to be famous as people that are highly moral. The irony is they're not moral at all, because they're delving into areas of blackmail, malicious communications, downloading children's images, etc., etc., etc. But they want to be seen as highly moral, and they're not. And think that somehow they're the arbitrators of who's right and who's wrong. They don't want to allow free speech. But when it comes to this book, a lot of what has been put into that book has been put out by themselves. And I think that's why, I think that's partially why some of them feel threatened by me, because they know that I know that actually the stories emanated from you. And now you're trying to write them as if they've come through whispers down the grapevine. You've come upon it, and now you're reporting upon it, when actually you've created the stories in the first place, and that there's never been any real substantial evidence. So they see that as defending Tommy, but actually what I'm doing is saying, look, I don't know what the truth is. The real truth is I've got no horse in this race, because I don't know Tommy Robinson personally. But if you are going to say something, at least bring proof and proper evidence, and there has never been any.
And the truth of the matter is, I know I do, and I'm sure you do as well, is that we know a lot more about this situation than they even have any indication about. We're just trying to play nice. We're just trying to do things in a nice and proper way, without getting these people ugly. So that's an important point to make, because you know, I would personally never want to stoop down to their demonic level. But if push comes to shove, we'll do what we need to do. But staying within the law is a bonus, because you know, when you have the law on your side, you have the law on your side.
I think you have to absolutely stay within the law, but I don't know if you've watched Andrew Tate. I haven't watched much of what he said, but there was one interview where he was talking about the collapse of the British society. And in that, he said it's because people have learned that they can come to Britain, they can hold a machete, and they can rob you. And to get justice through the courts takes months and months and months and months and months. And that the justice system just isn't working for the ordinary person anymore. That is actually a fact, Manny. If I
Yeah,
was,
it
if I
is.
was, if I was a footballer's wife with the level of abuse and lies, slander, malicious communications, threats, blackmail, propaganda that I've been receiving in the last month, they would have done something, and they would have gone probably round doing early morning raids. Unfortunately, I'm not a footballer's wife. I'm just an ordinary grandmother who's concerned about girls being raped up and down this country and people turning a blind eye and people pretending that they actually care when they don't, because all they want to do is either grift by writing a book as if you hope not hate, grift as if you've had an experience within the far right or the far left, or grift on off of other people's pain. I just find it absolutely disgusting. I've had a channel and I've never once asked for money, never once. Just talking about things and talking with people and trying to understand with people. I want community cohesion. A lot of these people just want segregation, sectarianism, and they're evil. And I'll tell you something, yeah. I've been looking into this. The radical left are as bad as the radical right, the extremists. They're all extremists at the end of the day. They want anarchy. They want to crumble everything. And they don't care. They don't care about the individuals. We are just individuals. To them, but you see, this is the weakness. There are certain individuals, like you know, Manny, in amongst that group that have actually let too much be known about themselves. And now they're panicking. Because whereas before they could get away with all this nonsense, there are certain things that is going to come back now, and they know that. And to me, this is like people that are drowning and they're gasping for air, and they're stuck in quicksand, and they're trying to walk really fast out of the quicksand, and they're taking themselves deeper into it. That's what they're hoping we'll do as well. Unfortunately, I'm not going to walk in quicksand. I'm going to do everything the legal way. I'm going to allow them to do what they want to do. If they feel that it gives them the higher moral ground, which we all know it doesn't, because they're all exposing themselves, or they feel it alleviates their pain to be as nasty and as spiteful as they can towards myself and my family and my extended family, well, they're going the right way about it. But that's only going to be a short-term effect for them, because what's coming for them in the long-term effect, I will get justice, and I will do it the right way.
And also, you said if you were a footballer's wife, you're more important than a footballer's wife. You are the queen of the internet. You are
I
Her
wish.
Royal
I
Highness
wish.
Jupiter. So yeah, if you're far more important and far more valuable than just an average footballer's wife. And yeah, we appreciate your live streams and your analysis. Just keep it going, and yeah. It's always good to hear that type of fresh thinking rather than this kind of caged way of being which they want us to live in.
They want us to be afraid. They want us to be afraid to talk the truth. And they don't like it if people go against what is sometimes mainstream narrative, fed out to the lesser mortals. And sometimes it is conspiracy theories. And these groups can cluster together on both of them because they're extremists. They're always at the extreme end. They're not the people in the middle who are trying to analyze or work out or suss out or just have philosophical conversations that might lead you to a dead end, and then you retract and you go down a different road. No, they don't understand that kind of logical thinking. You must do as you're told. You must think as they say. You must agree or you're an enemy. This is how they are. They're extreme, and they're at the extreme end. And people that are moderate, people that are balanced, people that are normal, should I say in brackets, are the people that are there in that ground that both extremities want to get hold of and pull apart. I did a stream the other day where I talked about the extreme left and how America and mainland Europe have already realised that the extreme left are just as big a threat as the extreme right. They've already got a serious problem. And this was back in 2018, believe it or not, this article, and I was like, wow, how come I'd never read this before? And back then they were saying they were having to monitor because they believed it was heading for Britain. I believe that this is all connected to all that shit as well. It's really, really sad what's going on. Yeah.
All right. So, any other topics you want to cover? Have you seen the video of Steve eating cockroaches?
No, I haven't. No, and I don't think I really want to.
I'm going to be doing a show on Friday about that, so I'll show the video. Steve did message me yesterday. He doesn't seem to be too happy that I'm covering his insect eating habits.
Why has he been eating insects? That's the secret, is it?
I said, well, only he knows the truth, whether he's been paid to do it or whether he's doing it off his own, back. Either way, both of those answers are wrong.
I wonder if this is like one of those failed politicians' attempts to be trendy with the said group that they're trying to impress. You know when they do these weird things, like you had Edwina Curry eating eggs, and the other one when we had the mad cow's disease, eating beef burgers to reassure us, when we all know that they've probably had scientists checking out that meat and everything before it was cooked.
Yeah. And even the I don't watch this, but I've seen like YouTube videos on it. Do you know what's it called? They're in that Australian. Is it Australia?
I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here.
That's it, yeah. So, all those so-called dangerous animals that are in the pit and all that stuff, they're either sedated or, even if they bite or something, they had their teeth taken out and all that stuff. It's perfectly harmless. It's just that they, it just looks more menacing than it actually is. The situation, it's more psychological.
It is psychological, but it's not our culture, is it? We don't eat bugs over here.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that rudely, but Britain doesn't eat bugs. Why? What? What's going on? So that's why we can watch all these shows like I'm a Celebrity and sit there and squirm, because it's just not part of our nature.
The reason why the Far East, especially China, started eating bugs and what have you, is because there were periods in their history that they were so impoverished and starving that they couldn't find food anywhere, and they had to resort to eating bats and all these other weird creatures just to stay alive. And over time it kind of became infused with their culture, and it was normalized, right? So for us, in this country and even in a country like India, nothing has ever been that bad where you had to resort to eating a rat or a cockroach or a bat. So for us it's disgusting, but of course
I would never look down my nose at any culture that eats anything odd. I might squirm because I've never eaten it, but I would never look down my nose at anybody that's using their senses to have something in their diet that contains protein to keep them alive. I mean, you can look online and you can actually see in some places where like you say, they've got barbecued rat on the skewer and barbecued sort of like birds, they like ordinary birds that most people wouldn't eat. In some countries, at the end of the day, to look down at them when they're surviving would be awful, but it's not our culture over here, and that's why we squirm at it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
We have been very lucky in this country. We have been very lucky to be born where we're born, and that I'm not talking about just white people either, because people do like to grade it by the colour of the skin. I'm talking about anyone here. I've often said this before, that if you go and look at some of the other countries, you can't compare our poor with their poor. Their poor are literally starving, in many cases begging on the street, being abused, living on the street, etc. But you can only judge a country as good as its poorest, and the way that we're looking after our poorest now in Britain is not very well.
Yeah, I think the British culture is definitely one of the top cultures. Um, just from what it's achieved historically and even more in modern times, and how it is so appealing to all other cultures and other countries as well. So I am a big fan of the British culture. I can't say I am as big a fan as some of the European cultures, but I can see the the similarities in it. But I from all the European cultures, especially, I think the British culture is pretty good. And mind you, I think the Icelandic, Danish, and Norwegian cultures are pretty good as well. But obviously, being British, my favorite is the British
Being
culture.
British, yeah.
Mm,
It's funny you should say that because of my age, I grew up at a time pre-EU, yeah, and I know that the mindset of that generation and the generations before was that even though we knew we were European, like the rest of the Europe mainland, we saw ourselves as different. We did.
mm,
I was talking about this the other day to people on my panel, and it's kind of sad, really, because it seems quite trendy at the moment to blame the English for everything. Somehow time has seemed to have stopped with only what the English have done, and nobody wants to balance up or weigh up or be sensible. Okay, no matter what culture they're in, they're being encouraged to just blame the English. Even in Britain, you've got some Scottish people that will blame the English, and Irish and that doing the same, and the Welsh doing the same. But actually, English people have often looked around and seen the Irish, the Scottish, and the Welsh. I say this often as their brothers. The Eastern Europeans as kind of their cousin, not Eastern, mainland Europe, sorry, as their
mm,
kind of their cousins, and then America, Australia, and Canada as kind of like their children. I know that sounds weird to sort of like understand the relationship of how it was before we went into the EU. And then when we
mhm,
went into the EU, we was all basically told, no, we're all the same. And we're not.
mm,
For a start, we have a different language to a lot of mainland Europe,
mhm.
you know?
British people look different.
Well,
I mean,
because we're
British.
more mixed. We have more of a mixed.
Mm,
I mean, that's another strange thing that they don't really talk about. At one point, most of the people in Britain were brown-haired with brown eyes,
mhm,
pale skin, but brown-haired and brown eyes.
mhm,
It's only in recent modern history where it's actually become blue-eyed and blonde hair. But before
mm,
that, it was the predominant eye color here was brown,
mhm,
which wouldn't have been in mainland Europe.
mm. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
but we are a mix of people here, and I think it's interesting for people to understand their unique mix because of genetics. It is nice to know your
Mhm,
roots, but I think some people can become over obsessed with it, and that's where you get the ethnas and the ethnic nationalities, um, who become extreme. And again, I'm
mm,
against all forms of extremism.
mhm. Yeah.
The extreme left to me are just as damaging and radicalised as as the extreme right. I don't want no part of any of it. I
Mm,
don't like extreme Jews, extreme Islamists, extreme Christians. I don't like the extreme of anything because
mhm,
when you get to that position, you start to other everybody else, and I don't think that that's how it should be. Again,
mm,
I'm not somebody that wants to see the world. I noticed you spoke about it earlier. Turn a shade of beige all over the place. No, I mean,
mm,
I like to be able to go to other countries and see them still enjoying their culture and wonder and be amazed at what thought processes led them to that culture and their traditions and why they do things and what it stands for and everything
mhm,
else. And then be able to come back to my own country. But again, I believe that Britain should hold on to its own culture as well. I'm not
mm,
saying other cultures can't live here. I'm not saying you can't cook your own food in your own house or pray to whoever you want to pray to or have your own religious beliefs. That's fine. But just
mm,
understand predominant traditions and culture of this country.
Mhm.
But I don't know if you're aware, it's been
Mhm.
reported in the mainstream that Christianity is now then less than half of the population now in Britain.
Mhm. Yeah,
So our culture has taken a severe knocking. It has.
yeah. There's an increase of atheism, I believe. Are not the good type, but the rest of them seemed like quite smaller groups. But I think what I saw growing up in the UK, that the abusive behaviour of the vicars in the 80s and the 90s were the prime reason why people turned away from the church. And they were kind of sick and tired of seeing that, and not just in the UK, around the world, all the scandals with paedophilia, and people just started turning away. And I think people forgot to differentiate between the church and the message of Christianity, because if you look at the story of Jesus and how he lived his life, and the example he set, he was a freedom fighter. He was a powerful chap, and whether he was real or not is beside the point. Is his story itself is something that people should really take into consideration and see what he did in different situations. And I just wish that British people just stopped and actually realized that they don't have to be joined to the church to be Christian. They don't have to attend Sunday mass to appreciate and understand the message that the likes of Jesus left for the country.
Yeah. Look, I think that there was a definite attack on the beliefs of this country anyway through the system. When I was at school, we used to have our morning prayer. We used to have a morning assembly every day. You done hymns. You learned about Christianity. You learned a little bit about other cultures, but not in depth. And then as time went on, when I had my own children, I've watched as the education system has basically phased out, not really talking about Christianity that much, and being welcoming of all faiths and talking about all faiths as if they are all equal. And I think once you get to that stage and you start expanding a child's mind at a very early age to understand just how many faiths there are, you begin to, if you're a logical person, you begin to, as you're being educated, say to yourself, well, if there's so many groups of different faiths, how do I know which one's the right one? And which one should I be following? And is it sinful if I end up following the wrong one? And if there's so many, then that just proves that there can't really be one, instead of understanding that actually it all goes back to the same root and that they're all branches of the same root.
Mm-hmm.
But because you don't actually focus that much on religion at school, they never get past those answers. And then you end up with people that just simply lose faith because their lives have become so downtrodden. And they will think to themselves, because the church in olden times or in the not too distant past would have helped people in poverty. You don't see that anymore. You don't see the churches with their doors open, welcoming the homeless and allowing them to sleep in the warmth of their churches. You don't see them encouraging the communities to do anything anymore. So they've lost their connection with the community. And then, like you say, all the sexual scandals, people became afraid that they started distrusting many figures of authority. I know there was a time, sorry to keep rambling, but I know there was a time, Manny, when myself, I everywhere I looked around, it seemed to be paedophilia stories in the news, like with Jimmy Savile and other people at the BBC, and then the grooming gangs and the churches, and then you would hear all these weird stories online. You'd go on Facebook to get away from it. Jupes, could you let Manny who Ricky is? He wants him to go on his show sometime. Oh yeah. Well, he's changed the title of his channel, hasn't he? I think he's called Life Hut now.
Oh, it's not that Mr. Rick chap.
No, not Mr. Rick. It's Rick's TV. It used to be, but I think it's now called Life Hut. But yeah, to carry on, you know, there was a time where I started questioning just about everybody, and I mean literally everybody in society, thinking, are you a weirdo? Why are you looking at the kids? You know, even if you was in the park, any man that came in, I was suspicious of them, even if they had fucking children with them, because it got to that sort of state of paranoia. And I think people have had to, and then we had COVID that has made people very erratic and everything else. And I do think there's a lot of mental illness out there now. And I think that there is a lot of paranoia that's gone on. I know I'm rambling a bit, but I'm not going to say who. But there is a lady on the channels that has been around for quite a while, longer than me, it appears. And you know, she actually literally got brainwashed into believing that people were eating babies. I think when you get to that state of mind, I'm not saying that it's not possible. In some rare cases, there are these nutcases that do engage in satanic abuse. But to believe that it's on the large scale of what people were trying to propagate is not healthy for anybody. It's not. Do you know what I mean? So when you get to the mindset where, okay, you're open-minded that anything can happen in a world where we've got murderers, paedophiles, Satanists, evil, true evil. But to always be able to sort of stay balanced, when you lose that balance and you've tipped over to the edge, you've gone into the realms of going down a rabbit hole that actually sends you mental. And I think that's happened to a lot of people. I do. I think it's happened to a lot of people. And I think we're seeing the chaos of all that.
What's your can I ask you, what's your opinion on Chrissy Morris?
My truthful opinion, I don't really know him. I would never have heard about him if it wasn't for the fact that Brian Hurl brought his name up, and another gentleman, Roy Blackburn, from Silver End, who goes by the handle AKA Who've Hearted, spoke about him. Apparently he's an ex-councillor from Malden. He comes across as very arrogant, somebody that can't take criticism. I think sometimes he's correct in some of the things that he says, but he doesn't understand how he propagates that to the outside because he doesn't live by his own principles. His private life, I don't want to get into that because it seems rather murky, quite disgusting, and he's also been running around trying to set people up all over the place. He's one of these. He's another one that if you don't listen to his control and agree with everything he says, then he becomes very narcissistic, like that little group that we were talking about earlier, and they will go all out to destroy you, and they will use lies to do it. So for me, it's someone to avoid. I wouldn't put him on a platform and admire him at all. No.
So why does the network hate him?
Now, because there is one person in that little group that knows him personally from before, And this is where it gets into personal stuff. But seeing as they've put it all out there, I feel free to talk about it because it's no secret. So one alleges that the other did a weed grow with them and stole it.
Oh yeah,
And
okay.
and from that, the other one then said, "Well, you're a paedophile," and brought skimpy evidence to suggest that they were. The other one then fired back and said, "No, you're a paedophile," and brought evidence to suggest they were, and it spiraled out of control. In the meantime, other people got dragged into the argument because there would be groups of people. So basically, there was a gentleman. Do you know Wasp?
Is that the gentleman that recently passed away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've only heard him. I've only heard him speak to you once or twice. I didn't know him or his channel.
okay, so he got caught up in the middle of it, and he ended up being targeted. They tried to set him up as paedophile as well. There was no evidence for it, and the evidence that they brought forward, which was tape recordings taken out of context, as per usual. When the full context came to light, it proved that it wasn't even relating to a child or anything. Basically, there was footage of him pulling up his top and showing his abs, mucking about, saying that he had better abs than another man. They used that footage and put it with something else to try and make it look like he was doing that to a young girl, and it wasn't, basically, to sum it all up. But yeah, they tried to set him up as well. This is what I'm talking about. These people will set up anybody. And it doesn't matter if you're at the bottom, or it doesn't matter if you're at the top.
Interesting. Okay. Well, how long have you been on YouTube now? So you've been on since 2018?
Yeah.
That's quite a long time.
So you have got Christy Morris here. I don't know if you want to let him on and speak to him.
Yeah, but he's the one that messaged. He put in a strange message saying, "I've been sent information about you, Manny. I need to speak to you." Now, that's the type of message that you would want to put if in some way if you want to really piss me off. So that's why I asked you before. What's his crack is, because at one point he's saying stupid things like that, and things like that. And on the other hand, I do know the network is after him. So I'm kind of in two minds.
Well, I would say that's not totally true, because there are some of them that dislike him, and then there's others that will work with him to target other people. So I would say he's not trustworthy. Definitely not trustworthy as a person.
Well, I didn't like the way he spoke to you once, and that's why I jumped on. I think that was on Moons, and I handed it to him. I didn't really appreciate that. Not that I am your knight defense army or anything, but he did annoy me on that particular day. But I don't know if that's him generally, or if that was him on a bad day. But
no, he's like that with most people. So he's the kind of person that tries to be smarmy and pretends to be your friend. But then if you don't agree with him, the nasty nature will come out. Don't just take my word for it. Ask other people. Do I think, though, that some things that have happened to him have been fair? Probably not. But on the balance, I would say that he has done a lot of nasty things to people. Yeah. So, and considering he was meant to have been in this elevated position of a counsellor, and whether he likes it or not, if you're in a position of, or was in a position of responsibility, you are supposed to be of a better character than the average citizen. That's why you've got that level of responsibility. And if you can't carry that and maintain that, and he got thrown out of his own council for bullying women.
Moon can be very funny, though. You got to hand it to her.
Yeah, you should let Moon come on.
Yeah, I put the link in there. I think she's hanging up her Christmas trees, Christmas lights.
Oh God, I'm not doing that until.
And what do you think of my makeshift Christmas tree at the back?
It's very good. It's a little advertisement for you, isn't it? It's very sweet, I think. You need to get some lights though. You do need to drape something across the top, didn't you? Or some
Yeah,
tinsel
yeah.
or
I'm
something.
getting, and now I'm going to get my PA to get me some lights actually. So maybe by Friday I'll have a little thing going on with flashing lights and stuff. It's important for British people to celebrate Christmas. It really is. It's one of the greatest days. You don't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money. It's not about buying people presents and things like that. There is something called the Christmas spirit, right? So people are in a good mood and everything. And sometimes we forget how how that feels. But this Christmas I do want to do something that I've not done before, and I'm not just saying this because I'm doing it on a live stream. So I do, one of the charities that I do support is a food bank. I actually want to volunteer and do something with them. May not be Christmas Day, but certainly around about that Christmas, because I always think it's all fine and dandy, those of us that have loving families, and we're in going to see this family, that family, do this. What about those who kind of don't have that, or they've been thrown out of their family and they're on the streets and stuff? It must be the worst time for them, because Christmas essentially, for most people anyway, represents time with family, and these people are sleeping on the streets, taking drugs, and all this other stuff. That there has to be more that we can do to kind of help these people. Do you know what I mean? As I'm getting older, I'm definitely becoming more conscious about these things. I don't know if that just comes
Yeah,
with
I totally agree. I think it's terrible that we live in a society where we should be judged by the poorest in society. We should never be able to hold our heads high just by the ones that can fly around on jets and everything else, and our celebrities. We should be looking at the homeless people that have nothing. And it's one of the things that I find quite disgusting on a lot of the channels, actually, the way that they try to degrade other people by saying they haven't got nothing. Because actually, if you've got your health, you've got your family, you're keeping a roof over your head, and you're feeding yourself, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
All the materialistic stuff, to me, and this is what I mean by going back to old Christian values. Materialism, yeah, it's nice to have shiny things and that, but who really gives? Sorry, I was going to swear, but who really cares? Who really cares about all that? I'm going to have to go for a couple of seconds because I've got a phone call.
It's okay. I'm gonna end the stream. I was gonna end it at 8. I might end it a bit early so I can watch the football.
Okay, let's go then, and
Okay.
I'll
Thanks
speak
for
to
coming
you
on.
soon, Money. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care, Jubes. All right, thanks, peeps. That's for today. So, USA has scored. Get in there. Header. Oh, wonderful goal. So USA are leading Iran. Sorry, Sam M, and Banksy and all the other Iranian peeps. Iran, I'm not sure about the England score because I've only got the Iran game on at the moment. I'm going to now go over to the TV and see if I can do a split screen. But thank you very much to everybody for watching. If you haven't subscribed to whichever YouTube channel or Twitch channel or Twitter channel, whichever channel you're watching, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. It really does help us. If you could hit the thumb icon, so if you can like the show, that would be great. If you want to share it on your feeds, you can do. So as you guys know, I'm one of the founders of a social media platform called Speakers Corner Online. We have an app, an Android app and an iOS app. So if you guys want to come over to a free speech platform, then you can certainly do so. You can find me there and we can chit chat. If you don't want to come over, then don't worry about it. No one's going to hold that against you. But thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the football, and I shall see you on Friday. Goodbye.